You've finally done it. You scraped, you sacrificed, you skipped the $7 lattes for 6 months, and you managed to save up exactly $5,000. It's sitting there in your so-called high-yield savings account, and you feel totally overwhelmed by how underwhelming it is. You know you should invest it because everyone on the internet is yelling at you to invest, but $5,000 feels like this terribly awkward amount of money. It's too much to just gamble away on some dog-themed crypto coin, but it feels like way too little to actually change your life in any meaningful way. And meanwhile, while you are paralyzed by indecision, inflation is quietly eating away at it every single month like financial termites. My name is Alex, and I spend way too much time thinking about how to make money stop being lazy and actually start working for you. If you're someone who is tired of trading your limited time on this earth for dollars and wants to understand how the wealthy actually build passive income without trying to get rich quick, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, $5,000. It's a psychological hurdle. It's the tipping point where money stops just being emergency cash and has the potential to become capital. But the biggest mistake people make right here is assuming that because $5,000 isn't $1 million, the returns aren't worth the effort. They freeze up. Today, we are cutting through the noise and the hype. I'm going to show you exactly what a realistic, safe, boring $5,000 dividend portfolio pays you every single month. And here's the honest truth. The answer is going to disappoint you at first. You might even click off the video. But if you stick around past the 7-minute mark, the psychology of why you do it anyway is absolutely going to change your financial life. Okay, let's look at the math. And I need you to brace yourself because this is the part where most people roll their eyes and quit before they even start. If you build a responsible, diverse, relatively safe dividend portfolio right now, you are probably looking at an average yield of around 3% to perhaps 4%. Let's be conservative, let's be realistic, and use 3%. $5,000 times 3% is $150. That's $150 a year. Divide that by 12 months, and you are looking at a whopping total of $12.50 a month. Yeah, $12.50. It's underwhelming, isn't it? Let's be real. You can't even subscribe to the ad-free version of Netflix for that anymore. You saved up $5,000, you disciplined yourself, and your reward is basically 2 mediocre caramel macchiatos a month. This brings us to what I call the Starbucks fallacy. It's this incredibly dangerous mental trap where we look at a small amount of passive income, compare it to a trivial consumer purchase, and decide it's not worth the hassle of investing. You sit there and think, why would I lock up my hard-earned $5,000 just so I can get a free sandwich once a month? I'll just keep it in savings just in case. And if you think that way, I am telling you right now, you are missing the entire point of building wealth. Because here's what most people don't realize. When you invest for dividends, you aren't just buying an income stream of $12. You are hiring employees. Let me explain. When you go to your job tomorrow, you are trading your time, the only thing you can never get back, for money. That is active income. It is finite. When you take that money and buy a new couch, that money is gone. It's dead. It is a liability that will never produce anything for you ever again except maybe back pain. But when you take that $5,000 and buy dividend-paying assets, you have essentially hired employee number 1. And let me tell you, employee number 1 is an absolute beast. This employee doesn't call in sick because they have a headache. They don't need health insurance matching. They don't take hour-long lunch breaks to scroll TikTok. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, generating value for you whether you are sleeping, working, or on vacation. Now, I know you're still stuck on the number. You're thinking, Alex, great analogy, but it's still just $12.50. Look, here is a shocking statistic that should wake you up. Depending on which study you read, roughly 60% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. That means more than half the population is exactly one bad conversation with their boss away from financial disaster because they rely solely on one single income stream. They have all their eggs in one very fragile basket. When you generate $12.50 a month that you did not have to work for, you have fundamentally shifted your financial reality. You have created a second income stream. Is it a small stream? Yes. Is it a mighty river? No, not yet. But it is separate from your labor. It is your first step away from total dependence on your employer. You have to stop looking at this as buying a coffee. You need to start looking at this as buying your freedom, $1 at a time. That $12.50, that's not coffee money. That is roughly 20% of your cell phone bill, paid for forever, without you ever lifting a finger again. You have effectively eliminated a portion of your mandatory monthly expenses for the rest of your life. That is power. But this is where it gets really interesting. This is where we move from the disappointment phase to the actual wealth building phase. Because right now, you are assuming that $5,000 stays static. But good dividend portfolios don't stay static. They are alive. If you take that $12.50 every month and go buy your 2 coffees, your portfolio will basically always just pay you $12.50. You're eating the golden eggs. But if you turn on what's called a DRIP, a dividend reinvestment plan, you turbocharge the whole process. A DRIP is simple. It tells your brokerage to automatically take that cash payment and immediately use it to buy more shares of the stock that paid you. You don't even see the money hit your account. It's automatic, forced savings. Going back to our analogy, your employee, that $5,000 investment, worked hard all month and produced a baby employee. And instead of spending that baby employee on coffee, you put it to work alongside its parent. Now you have 2 robots working for you. Let's look at the math on this, because the human brain is terrible at understanding exponential growth. Let's assume you invest that $5,000 into a solid dividend growth ETF that yields 3% today, and the companies inside that ETF raise their dividend payouts by an average of 8% a year, which is historically realistic for top-tier companies. In year 1, you get $150. If you reinvest everything and the companies do their job and raise their payouts, in 10 years, that same initial $5,000, without you adding another dime, is paying you over $350 a year. In 20 years, it's paying you over $800 a year. And remember, you never added another penny of your own money after day 1. That original $5,000 is just sitting there, but the income stream it produces has grown by over 400%. If you left it under your mattress, it would still just be $5,000, and it would buy you half as much stuff. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room. I know some of you are screaming at your screen right now, "Alex, you're an idiot. Why are you only using 3%? I found this stock, Super Sketchy Mortgage REIT Corp., and it pays a 12% dividend." Stop doing that. Seriously, stop it. That is called chasing yield, and it is the absolute fastest way to turn your hard-saved $5,000 into $2,000. Here's the thing. A dividend is paid out of a company's actual profits, cash in the bank. If a company is paying you a massive 12% yield right now, it usually means one of 2 things. 1, their stock price has crashed through the floor because the market knows the company is in serious trouble. Or 2, they are paying out more money than they are actually making just to attract suckers, which is completely unsustainable. When that risky company inevitably cuts that dividend, and they will cut it, the stock price tanks, and you lose both your income stream and a huge chunk of your original $5,000 principal. Do not be seduced by the sucker yield. In dividend investing, we want boring. Boring makes you rich. So what does a realistic, boring $5,000 portfolio actually look like? Listen to me. You do not need to go out and try to pick 20 individual stocks. You are not Warren Buffett. If you are just starting out with your first $5,000, keep it dead simple. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You want ETFs, exchange traded funds. These are single tickers you buy that hold baskets of hundreds of companies for you. For example, something like SCHD, VIG, or DGRO. These funds hold hundreds of companies that have a long, proven history of paying and increasing their dividends through good times and bad. You could literally take your $5,000 tomorrow, split it 50-50 between two of these major dividend ETFs, turn on DRIP in your brokerage account, and walk away. That's it. You are done. You are an investor. Look, I know the math of $12.50 a month isn't sexy. I get it. It's not going to buy you a Lamborghini next Tuesday. It's barely going to buy you lunch. But if you are sitting there right now with $5,000, terrified of doing the wrong thing, I need you to realize that doing nothing is the guaranteed wrong thing. The most difficult part of building wealth isn't the complex math or picking the magical stock. It's the psychology of starting when the results feel totally insignificant. You have to be willing to look foolish and earning peanuts to the average person today, so you can live like very few people can tomorrow. Get that $5,000 working. Hire your first employee. Don't look at the $12.50. Look at the freedom it represents. If this shift in perspective helped you out today, destroy that like button to help the algorithm. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video where we talk about scaling this up, and I will see you next time.